Hey everybody, welcome to episode 8 of the Aspire podcast where we aspire to inspire you. I'm your host Tyrese B and we have another special guest. Our special guest is the founder and CEO of the Charlotte Bats, which is a grassroots team looking to join the MLB soon. Welcome to the show, Rick Curti. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on your program.
Man, great to have you on, man. Great to have you on. So let's start from the beginning, man. Where are you from or where are you located at right now?
Well, I live in Charlotte. I moved here in 2006. Before that, I lived in Las Vegas from 2001 to 2006. And I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California.
Man, all great locations, man. I've been to LA, I've been to Vegas, and I have family in Charlotte. So been to all those three places, great cities, man. Great cities.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about your childhood, man. Talk about us from the span of all those three places. How was that time for you?
Well, I was born in Los Angeles, like I said. My brother was a great athlete. I never was, but I was always a student of the game. Fell in love with the game of baseball when I was probably like 9, 10 years old. I love the whole psychology of the game. You know, whether you're going to do a hit and run or is he going to walk this guy? It's like the whole psychology of baseball and all sports. Got hooked onto it. Tried out for my high school baseball team. Didn't work. Played for some park leagues. Never was very good. I was always one of those guys that was not very good, but always had his nose in a book, reading about stats, reading about home run kings and all. So I was always a student of the game. And so that was pretty much my childhood, just watching baseball all the time and just doing normal kid things.
Man, it sounds good. That's good to hear, man. That's something that, that I had growing up, when I had growing up. I always wanted to play basketball, but basketball wasn't the sport for me, so I just decided to play football. But so you said you played baseball, things didn't pan out the way you wanted it to. But I'm assuming did you play in high school?
No, I actually tried out for my baseball team, but I was too short or I was too skinny, uncoordinated. So unfortunately, I wish I could tell you I was the star of my high school baseball team, but unfortunately that would not be true. I was never like a good athlete, but I always loved baseball, and I think I love it even more because it's such a hard sport to play. It really, all sports are hard to play, but baseball to me, I think is the most difficult. It's just, the speed, the timing, the eye, the coordination.
Right.
It's like an artist. You work at your craft. It's you don't go up there and just hit a baseball. It's hitting a baseball is like the hardest thing anybody can do in sports. I mean, it's so difficult, and with changeups and curveballs and things like that, it just makes it hard. And unfortunately, I just was never a good athlete. I was either too short, too small, or if I did play, they'd stick me in right field somewhere, or and I hope the guy didn't hit it to me.
Man, I completely understand. Even though you say you weren't the great athlete, we've all had sports stories. We've all had, those times and memories that we've had playing with those teams that we've endured with our whole life. So let me ask you this: as a child or as a middle schooler, what was your favorite experience throughout that time?
Let's see. I joined the park league, and I was never good. I had a horrible average. I struck out a lot. I was just so small compared to the other guys. And then I remember we needed to play one more. We needed one win to go to the playoffs. and it was my turn, and there was uh, runners on the, I think, second and third. I actually hit the ball. I couldn't believe I hit the ball, and I hit a double, and 2 runs scored, and we won the game. And I remember after the game, a couple of the players gave me the ball and autographed it and gave it to me. So that was like one of my nicest moments. They were happy for me. I was happy for myself, and we made the playoffs. So that was kind of like my little spot in my little time in the spotlight with baseball.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Any story is a great story. So that's an awesome story, man. So now let's talk about your present and future experiences in sports. Um, can you explain how Charlotte Bats started up? Did you start up by yourself? Was it a group project, or how did that start up?
Well, I moved to Charlotte in 2006. I lived in Las Vegas, and when I lived there, there was always rumors of a team coming there because Las Vegas didn't have any teams. This was before all the DraftKings and all that stuff. So Las Vegas had that reputation of you don't want to go there because of all the gambling and people will fix games. All that has changed now with fantasy leagues and stuff like that, and now you see the Raiders and the Golden Knights there. So I'm happy for Las Vegas. But when I moved to Charlotte, I just couldn't figure out why doesn't Charlotte have Major League Baseball? They've had everything else. They have a hockey team in Raleigh. They have the Hornets. They have they have everything. Why don't they have Major League Baseball? They've never had Major League Baseball in North Carolina, and I'm like, why not? So little by little, I just would ask people, and they just say we would never support it. So for 2 years, I did a study of population growth, people's income, people moving in here. We have a lot of transplants out here in Charlotte. Nobody's here from Charlotte, so we got like people from New York and Boston and California and Ohio and all over the place. And I just decided, you know what? I need to know for myself. So I started a page called Let's Bring MLB to Charlotte. And then I said, we need to come up with a cool name. We need to come up with something. I want to have a cool logo, something where people can see it. And so I originally wanted to call them the Charlotte Cardinals because the Cardinal is the state bird of North Carolina. Unfortunately, too many Cardinals: St. Louis Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, Louisville Cardinals, Stanford
Right.
Cardinals. So we came up with a kind of a funky name, which I look back saying, why did I call it that? But we were called the Charlotte Bat Dogs at one time. I got criticized a lot. I said, we need to change it. So I said, how about if we just call them the Charlotte Bats? Then I found out there was a minor league baseball team called the Greensboro Bats,
Mm.
which is about an hour and a half away from me. They're now called the Grasshoppers. So I said, well, that name's available. So I said, how about Charlotte Bats? Bats are common. And so when I told people the name, they liked it because it represented North Carolina. And then I chose the colors of the city of Charlotte and our university called UNC Charlotte, and just kind of together, just put it together, and there you have it. And we came up with uniforms. I wanted to come up with some cool looking uniforms, and people really started liking the uniforms. And I just said, this is my concept, this is my idea, my vision for Major League Baseball in Charlotte. And over the years, people have really embraced it, and I'm really excited that the commissioner of Major League Baseball put us on this list for expansion.
Man, it's all thanks to you, man. It's good to hear that something that you've built over time, grown to the point to where now the dream can now become a reality. So, as you said, you've put a lot of things from Charlotte and North Carolina into what you're creating. So, I like that as well, especially with the colors from the Charlotte University of Charlotte, North Carolina 49ers. Shout out to those guys, Conference USA. You've done the stuff with the bats. The jerseys were even nice as well. I like the color concepts. Once again, I hope you guys definitely get your chance in the league. And speaking on the league, has there been anybody from the league? Is the commissioner from the MLB or any teams reached out to you?
Well, there was some noise going around. I actually tried to contact the commissioner. I sent him like a little gift package of a shirt, hat, things like that of that nature. I was trying to get in touch with our governor. I'm trying to get our governor involved in this. I've talked to people from the city council. I know there's a couple players that actually play, like Jack McDowell. He used to play for the White Sox and Yankees. He lives in Charlotte, and I was kind of like trying to reach out to those people, and then kind of unfortunately COVID-19 came and kind of put that a little bit on the sideline, unfortunately.
Sad to see, man. COVID-19 derailed not just business ventures, but lives as well. So COVID-19 was definitely a struggle, especially last year. Hopefully this year we can get things contained and hopefully we can get back to normal so we can figure things out. Hopefully we can get this organization on the road.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I feel good about it. I feel confident. I think we have someone now leading that's has a different vision, and we'll eventually get over this. We haven't seen anything like this like in probably 100 years. Seems like every 100 years there's always some catastrophe going on in the world, and
Mm,
unfortunately we have to go through this. But I feel confident, and we have to get back to normal. I mean, we can't live like this for the rest of our lives.
I completely agree. It's going to take some time to get used to, but over time things will get back to where it should be. So you mentioned to me before that you guys have never had a MLB team before. Um,
Nope.
so that's insane itself. Do you guys have a minor league team by chance or?
We do. We have a minor league team called the Charlotte Knights. They're the AAA affiliate of the Chicago White Sox.
Hmm,
We actually have a lot of minor league teams here. We have Durham Bulls, and we have Greensboro Grasshoppers. Gastonia, North Carolina is actually going to have an independent professional baseball team. So this is a great place for baseball. Back in the '80s, there was another minor league team called the Charlotte O's, and Cal Ripken Jr. and his brother actually played here. So a lot of legends have played here. Harmon Killebrew played here, and Tony Oliva. When we had the Charlotte Hornets, they were another minor league team. I think of the Washington Senators when the Senators existed at that time. And we've had baseball here, and just unfortunately and kind of surprisingly, we've never had Major League Baseball, but we've always been rumored. Unfortunately, a lot of times you hear our name being mentioned for a team to move. Usually, when an owner wants to get a new stadium, and he'll just tell them, well, if I don't get a new stadium, I'll move to Charlotte or I'll move to Portland or Nashville or whatever. And eventually the
hmm.
owner gets what he wants. But the great news is that we are actually on a list by the commissioner. So there's no more that talk of, a rumor. It's actually, he actually said it and has mentioned it. And he said it's because we have the Panthers and because we have the Hornets, and North Carolina has proven that they can support professional sports.
I agree. North Carolina as a whole is a great place for sports. I hope Charlotte gets their team, man. Let's talk about Charlotte Bats for a second. Do you have anything coming up, events planned soon? What do you have planned for the organization in the future?
Right now, just doing some interviews right now. Unfortunately, COVID's kind of derailed it a little bit, so we've been doing a lot of meetings and things like that, like I'm having with you, like on Zoom, things like that. Trying to get our pro shop going. That's something that we're going to focus on, and make it available to the public to get shirts and hats and jerseys, and hopefully expand with other merchandise. Like to talk to other organizations and get some sponsorship for what we're doing, and just little by little just get everything going with that. So that's probably our goal right now, and then
Mhm,
hopefully we can, like, eventually I can meet the governor, and our mayors and city council and things like that, once we can, soon as things get a little bit more looser here with unfortunately, again, COVID is kind of delayed it a little bit, but eventually we'll get there.
well, I hope the governor is listening to this. It'll be honestly, it will be a great business move just to see the MLB get some new blood, some new teams there.
We just need some new blood. I think if you bring more teams, I know they'll expand by two, so it'll go from 30 to 32. And people ask me, well, why Charlotte? Why not Nashville or why not Portland? I said all those cities are great cities, no doubt about it. I think what makes us more special is that we have two states in one. We have South Carolina next door, and South
True.
Carolina doesn't have any pro sports, so we can get the people from South Carolina to come to Charlotte to see baseball. We're like 10 hours from Washington, D.C. We're like 4.5 hours from Atlanta. So there's nothing like near here. I don't want to drive 4.5 hours to Atlanta to see the Braves. I mean, other people
That's right.
can. I'm not going to do it. So, I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. And we've never had a team here. And our AAA team, they do very well in attendance. And so with all that going on, and so many people are moving here, I think they said about 40 some people moved to North Carolina every single day. It's one of the fastest growing cities the last 20 years. It just
Mm.
makes sense to have Major League Baseball in Charlotte.
And with those points that you made, like you said, fans would definitely come from South Carolina to come see North Carolina teams for sure. But Rick, I want to say thank you for coming on the show, man. I want to appreciate you for talking about your organization and your plans for the city of Charlotte. What is some other things that you've thought about doing with the Charlotte Bats? Is there any other organizations or anything else that you've been trying to do wise with MLB?
I just want to highlight our city. I want to highlight North Carolina, and I think a great way to promote your state is by sports. I've talked
Right.
to politicians. It didn't matter if they were Republican, Democrat, whatever. They all love the idea. They all wanted to see Major League Baseball. They all thought this is a great idea. I love the name, and so that's what makes me feel good that what we're doing. So I've been reaching out to people like that, and they all love it. I mean, there's no argument there. There's not a lot we can agree on today. We all have to disagree on some, but one thing I've noticed that people want to see a Major League Baseball team here, and I want to break those stereotypes of we're not just known for NASCAR, and Charlotte is becoming a great place to live for professional sports.
Man, that's well put, man. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're it doesn't matter what race you are, it doesn't matter what nationality you are, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter what you believe in or not. Sports brings everybody together. Charlotte is definitely a sports mecca. They've had plenty of sports success. Hopefully baseball will be next soon. So once again, Rick, I thank you for coming on the show. Feel free to talk about any other business endeavors you have on the side. If you have, I know you work for the Tribune out there, so feel free to talk about all those business ventures. So you have the floor.
Okay. Well, our website is www.charlottebats.com. Our email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. If you have any questions or love to get involved, love to hear from you. We're also on Facebook at Charlotte MLB and also Charlotte Bats Baseball. We're also on Instagram at Charlotte Bats. I'm also on Twitter, Charlotte Bats Baseball, and I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curti, Curti, and I'm on there every single day. And for me, with the South Florida Tribune, is a good friend of mine named Scott Morganroth. He lives in Florida, and him and I actually met on LinkedIn, and so we do a podcast on like Thursday. We just talk about sports. I talk about what I'm doing, but we just mostly talk about sports. Like the Super Bowl or just I'm a huge sports nut, so I could talk about sports all day. And that's something we've been doing for the past couple of years, and it's been growing a lot. And so they've been really great to me to kind of get my voice out there and to talk about what I like to do. And it's also a great way where I can just meet people and meet some new friends and talk sports. I think, like I said, that's one thing about we might have like different teams, but everybody loves sports. I know everybody, and that's what I love about sports. It just brings so many people together. Doesn't matter, like you said, what nationality or age or whatever. People love going to games. When going to see our minor league baseball team, it's so packed in there, and you just see all the different people there. And it's a great place for families, and it's for everybody, and that's what I mostly love about sports is you can escape all the craziness going on in the world, but I just put on my sports and it's just like I feel great. So, I just want to thank you for giving me that opportunity for being on your program. I really enjoyed it.
And once again, thank you for coming, man. You said great points about sports in general. You spoke greatly about the city of Charlotte. You talked about your organization, and it's been a pleasure having you on, man. And where can we find you out on your podcast as well if you want to hear more of you?
We're the South Florida Tribune. And his name is Scott Morganroth, and he's the owner of it. He's put me on his podcast before. We speak on Thursdays, sometimes on Mondays. We just talk about different kind of sports, and all that info is on my LinkedIn page. I actually posted on my LinkedIn and all over my page, and you can always like download it and just hear me talk about. Sometimes we have nice little friendly debates, which are fun. I love having nice little debates. So, and they're always on there, so you can always tune in.
With that being said, y'all, that is the end of this podcast. Once again, I want to thank Rick Curti from Charlotte Bats organization coming on the show and talking about it. I want to thank you guys, the listeners out there, for tuning in for episode 8 of the podcast. But until then, stay safe, stay inspired, and happy New Year.